Cool, man. Get on that pod train, brah. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Brain Blaze. What's this? New format. That's right. It's World News Wednesdays, where we absolutely pretend to be a news show. And today, Florida Man special, so we're just covering Florida Men in the news special. Also, I asked Danny to write me a script for this new format. I was like, Danny, we don't need an introduction. The introductions got wildly out of control, Danny. And so he wrote me one page anyway, and I put a big red cross through it and threw it away.
All right, well, thank you for the help.
Of course. Let me know what you need.
Did that land on the chair behind me? How is that even possible? I'm amazing. Florida man, too busy yelling in traffic to notice a huge tornado. I feel that's two things that come together, like Florida men in the rest of the world, which do exist. It's a condition, not a location. They don't have to deal with tornadoes. That's like a uniquely Florida thing. I mean, other than all like Kansas and shit. Where was the Wizard of Oz set? Although, I've often mentioned that I never passed my driving test, I should point out that it was only the practical side of the test which I kept failing on trivial grounds that I kept endangering the lives of myself and my terrifying driving instructor. I think I told this story before, but I had a friend who failed their driving test, and I'm not even making this up, this sounds like a joke, but the driving instructor, it's like, go over the roundabout, which means take the second exit, go straight on over the roundabout. Roundabouts are weird traffic things, American friends. And they literally drove their car up onto the reservation in the middle of the roundabout, over the roundabout and down the other side. And that was when I discovered that you can get a minor, a major on your driving test, which are the ones that people commonly go on. If you get a major, you fail. If you get like 6 minors, you fail. You can also get something called a dangerous, which is where they stop your test and they're like, we're going back to the testing center. You're not ready. You're not ready at all. I imagine Danny got a dangerous.
You're goddamn right.
But I passed the theory test the first time with flying colors, which was hardly surprising as I had...
You can't even speak.
Yes, I can!
Which was surprising as I hadn't bothered to pick up a copy of the highway code until directly before the test. It's also not challenging, and I think you need to get like 60% to pass or something. I'd blagged a lift from my mate to the theory test centre in Sheffield, but unfortunately he ended up dropping off about 3 hours too early. I spotted a pub right next door, so I just set up camp there for a while and studied the highway code over 6 or 7 pints of lager. Holy shit, Danny. And even though this isn't a news show, this is already not a news show. We're just talking about Danny's life. Every time I try to do something different, Danny, we always just end up talking about your life and my stupid segues. Why do I even bother, Danny? Shit. I try to get all professional. I wear a fucking tie. And this is how you repay me!
What is up your ass? Seriously, what the is wrong with you?
And even though by the time I turned up to the test next door, I could barely walk in a straight line and stank of scampi fries, I got full marks. What are scampi fries? Is that like scampi made in... Scampi is like... Is that squid? How do I not know what scampi is? British people are going to be so angry with me. The thing is, I reckon I could have got full marks even if I'd never once looked at the highway code in my life, because every single question in the test was ludicrously simple and based entirely on common sense rather than knowledge. A typical question ran along the lines of, which is the most important road rule? A, always keep your full attention on the road and try to anticipate the actions of other drivers. B, always slam your foot hard down on the gas and try to get to your destination as quickly as possible to avoid causing traffic digestion and mild headaches. Congestion, not digestion. Danny, this isn't a real question because you refer to the accelerator as the gas pedal, which is super American. No one in Britain's like, slam on the gas! It means nothing. We're like, what's gas? This car definitely doesn't run on gas. It runs on petrol. What are you talking about?
I need fuel! Go ahead, quick, get in the car!
Bearing this in mind, I have no idea how my mate Graham managed to fail his theory test 9 times, even when he was stone cold sober. Maybe Graham is a little bit of a... insert term there. Maybe he's not quite all there, your mate Graham. Sorry, Graham. Perhaps South Florida man Anthony unpronounceable surname was another one who needed to brush up on his highway code, as he seemed to feel that the most important road rule of all was to provide fellow feedback to fellow motorists on their driving skills. Dashcam footage taken from Anthony's car in 2016 shows him zipping through the traffic in Pomano Beach while screaming in frustration at everybody else on the road. Anthony, why do you have a dash cam? Those things are for people who drive well and want to show the insurance company, not for people when it's like, yeah, you had a crash and they take you to court and they're like, well, it turns out you're an absolute f***ing idiot on the road. And also you have a dash cam. Just turn it off if you're going to drive like a moron.
I can't see! Who turned down the lights? What the fuck? It's Armageddon!
Anthony couldn't seem to understand why drivers around him appeared to be slowing down and pulling over to the roadside. And over the course of 4 minutes, his typical response to this was to hurl abuse at them and scream, "Get the fuck out of the way, you fucking dumbass!" Sorry, I should do that in American. "Get the fuck out of the way, you fucking dumbass!" But there was a good reason why the other drivers were pulling over, and we can see this for ourselves in the dashcam footage. Yet even as the ominous funnel clouds begin to start looking a little angry, and even as Anthony's car begins to rock slightly as it gets pelted with flying debris, Anthony is oblivious to the danger and continues to furiously beep his horn and vent his frustration at anyone in his path. I hope he gets sucked up into that tornado in his little angry car.
Okay, people, what the fuck? You're all fucking... Oh, shit, dude. Oh, shit, I'm in a fucking hurricane, dude. Get the fuck out of here, dumbass.
This particular tornado went on to uproot trees and knock out power lines, but fortunately, Anthony wasn't hurt. Fortunately, Danny? I mean, just a little bit of hurt. Maybe he could have just got knocked around a little inside his car and ended up being fine, just a little bit worse for wear. That would have been okay. We can wish a little bit of pain on him. In fact, he was the one who posted the dashcam footage to Facebook and briefly reveled in the subsequent fame as he was interviewed for local news channels. That's infamy, my friends. Infamy! In his defense, he claims that although the looming tornado was clearly and almost comically visible on the high-resolution dashcam footage, it was dark at the time, and he was trying to keep his eyes on the road. In fairness, keeping your eyes on the road instead of staring up at the stars is one of the first general rules of the highway code, just slightly below the bit about whipping out your telescope at the pedestrian crossing. Bada boom boom! Florida man, it says commercial break, but because I got rid of Danny's introduction, we're going to do the commercial break later. Let's carry on.
You're just mean.
Florida man insists... I just read it ahead. Syringes pulled from his arse aren't his. I don't know how those got there, officer. Oh my god. Also, I feel like if you had the syringes in your arse, I guess you got arrested and they found them, right? Because if you go to the doctor and it's like, look, I've got syringes in my arse. I don't know how they got there, but can you remove them?
What?
That's not going to be public knowledge because there'll be like doctor-patient confidentiality. Or do the doctors like anonymously post about this on Facebook? And then it's just like generic man, like Mr. B. There are times in life when you're caught red-handed and the only thing left to do is stick those red hands right up in the air and submit that it's fair cop governor. Continuing to plead your innocence is only going to make you look even more silly. A good example of this might be during one of those strip searches in jail when you casually pluck out 3 massive syringes from your rectum. How massive can syringes get, Danny? Oh god. This is what happened to Wesley Dasher Scott from Clearwater in 2019, and had only just arrived at the joint, so perhaps hadn't quite got his head around all the stifling rules and regulations just yet. Also, why are you putting a whole syringe up your butt? I feel like syringes are something that people get their hands on. Don't they normally put drugs up their butt because that's the actual illegal part of smuggling? But I guess if you're going to prison, you're going to need a syringe. They're not going to be like, yeah. We're going to give you syringes. Which would probably be smart, actually, because look, there's going to be drugs in prison, aren't there? And if we had syringes, then there'd be less diseases spread by syringes. Makes sense. Makes sense. At least we're solving all of the world's issues on this new news show. Wesley had been arrested before several times on drug and battery charges, and on this occasion he'd been arrested on an outstanding warrant for a marijuana charge earlier in the year. I can't believe we're still arresting people for marijuana. I mean, we, America. Everywhere else, it's like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. And America, you're like leading the path in legalization. It's like 20 years ago, I don't know, when was like, just say no to drugs. Like, a while ago, it's like 3 strikes and it's jail forever. And now they're like, cool, man, get on that pot train, brah. After he was taken to a receiving area of Pinellas County Jail, he was strip searched by the officers, and this is when he performed his curious variation on the vintage magician's rabbit from a hat trick. Yeah, the kids are going to be less impressed by that. Look at this rabbit from my hat. And by rabbit, I mean syringes. And by hat, I mean f***ing arse.
Those are illegal.
You're not just going to get arrested, you're going to get put on that sex offenders register. Everyone was extremely surprised when I said that I peed outside. I think it must be unless I'm really wrong. I pee outside. Like if I'm on a trip and there's no petrol station or wherever to pull over and have a pee, I'll just pull over at the side of the road, go into the forest and have a slash.
Oh no. Why are you looking down there? Why are you looking down there? Keep your eyes above. No, what are you doing?
Is that so unusual? People were like, Simon, I can't believe you pee in public. And I'm like, there's no one around. I'm not like whipping it out in front of a crowd and having a piss. It's in the middle of nowhere. What's wrong with that? It's not indecent. But I might end up on a registry of some kind, apparently. Jesus Christ. He possibly just didn't have enough time or remaining brain cells to process exactly how he was going to play this one. I would imagine that most of us would concede defeat and just declare, yes, I've pulled these syringes from my own rectum, and I accept the consequences. I'll be like, just like, lawyer, just wait and see what your lawyer. And if the lawyer's like, yeah, look, you have to admit to it, they were right there, you'll be like, okay, yeah, they came from my butt. But I'll be like, until I get a lawyer, I'm not saying they came from my butt. Smart. Big brain. Or maybe some of us might have given a cheeky wink and declared, I was wondering where those had got to. I definitely don't remember putting them there. Where was the last place you left them? Yes, of course, in my bottom. Wesley decided to try and cover his own arse by just wheeling out the Shaggy defense. It wasn't me. The Shaggy defense is a real legal thing. Look it up on Wikipedia. He claimed, I'm not joking, he claimed that he wasn't entirely sure how exactly the syringes had got up there, but they certainly did not belong to him.
That's not mine.
The authorities weren't really buying into this defense, and Wesley was given an additional charge of felony possession of contraband at a county detention facility, along with the original charges of drug possession and intent to sell. Dude, no one's buying, mate. It'd be like, yeah, no, can you imagine? Yeah, I love heroin. Really super into heroin, and I haven't had heroin for a while. I really need it. And then the guy will be like, what? Okay. Woo! Yeah, no thanks. I don't like heroin that much.
Thank you so much for wasting my motherfucking time.
I initially thought that the additional charge might be considered a little unfair on Wesley. After all, the guy had only just arrived in jail, and it wasn't as though it was his personal choice. A bit like a bouncer dragging a homeless man into a nightclub and then complaining that he is violating the dress code. However, Wesley was apparently asked during his arrest if he had anything illegal on his person and was warned that he would face additional charges if he was later found out to have brought that contraband into prison.
I'm telling you, baby, that's not mine.
I don't know if I'd have made a different choice for old Wezzers right there. I'd be like, look, okay, I know there's needles in my butt. If they find them, I'm in trouble. If I tell them about them, I'm in trouble. If I don't tell them about them, maybe they won't notice. And maybe I'll just quickly poo them out later. It's a tricky decision there, Wezzers, isn't it? It didn't really matter either way, as the prosecutors eventually decided that they couldn't be asked to pursue the hidden contraband charge. Maybe they thought Wesley's defense was just too strong. Wesley agreed to the plea deal on the other drug charges and served 40 days in prison. Very shortly after his release, he was back again after being arrested for allegedly stealing goods from his local Walmart with a total value of just over $56. Oh my God, if you're going to steal properly. Find out what that limit is. There's usually a limit, where it becomes a more serious crime. Find out what that limit is and steal goods just below that limit. I'm fairly sure $56 is way below that limit. Just find out you do it properly, Wesley. Come on. I'm not giving advice to criminals. I do that on my podcast, The Casual Criminalist, which you can absolutely check out after you finish watching this show. That might not seem like a particularly big haul, but if only the arresting officers had known exactly where to look, they might have just found a space hopper, a home theater projector, a folding electric treadmill, and a portable camping stove. Those camping stoves. I know having a projector shoved up your butt is going to hurt more than a camping stove, but that's got some really sharp edges. Uncomfortable. And now, on that note, a commercial break. which is going to look really different because I filmed them all before I set up this new set. So prepare to be jarred. And then support the sponsor.
Commercial break.
Just before we continue with today's video, it's time to thank our wonderful sponsors. First up, it's longtime fantastic sponsor, Squarespace, who, what do? They allow you to make your dreams a reality. How do they do that? Well, they're the best and easiest and most awesomest place to build a website on the web. Look, maybe you've got some idea for a website or a store or a blog or a podcast, even a YouTube channel. You'll want a complimentary website to go with it. All of that good stuff. If you want to make a website, you got to do it with Squarespace. It allows you to create a powerful website for whatever you're up to. Yeah, you can sell things online. They got stores. Fantastic. Podcasts, they do that, all of that good stuff. And a complimentary website for a YouTube channel. I said that. This is fantastic. Squarespace, you've got two main ways you can go. One, you use a template. And just log on to Squarespace. Sam will probably show some on the screen now. These things are beautiful. They're these great looking templates that you just go in, you swap out a few bits of text and a few pictures, and then it looks like you've made a beautiful website that is all yours and cost you a fortune, except it didn't, because it was a template. Or you can start from scratch if you've got design chops and you can really make it look how you want it to look. I have no design skills whatsoever, so I would never do that, but you can if you think you have those skills. They also handle all that websitey stuff. They got a bunch of extra features. What we got here? Email campaigns, patronage portals, social integrations, member-only areas, analytics, commercial options. Take a deep breath. 24/7 customer support is everything in there needs. So when you want to get started, go to squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch your new site, go to squarespace.com/blaze, and you'll get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Next up, guys, one of my absolute favorites. Shaker and Spoon. Move that out of the way. This is a cocktail box company. What they do is every month they send you an awesome box full of cocktail goodness. This one is all eyes on rye. I actually had this one before, and I asked them to resend it because it was just awesome. They made a bunch of great cocktails. They're listed here. The Bakiawa Sour, I don't know how to pronounce that. The Creole Sling, this was my second favorite. The Homestead Old Fashioned is the absolute winner. It's a gem. And everything, there's obviously the recipe cards, and then everything else you need, other than the rye, you provide that yourself, is included in the box. Now, what do they say here? Yeah, there's 3 original recipes. They've been made by world-class bartenders. You can't get them anywhere else. And then like I said, all of the ingredients are here. And this ranges from stuff like this. You know, this is a big item. There's a thing of cold brew coffee. I don't remember which one that goes for. Maybe the Creole Sling? I don't remember, it was a month or two ago. And then, best of all, you get these tiny little things that you'd never buy a large bottle of. So this one is small batch black pepper bitters. And then there's tons of these little things in here. Tons of them. This one is awesome. You spray this on. This orange oil, when you're done with the old fashioned, you just take the top off, put a little couple of sprays on top. And it's like, you'd never buy this. You'd never buy a big bottle of that to make your cocktails. But Shaker and Spoon just give you the right amount. Chicory pecan bitters, bitter cardamoms, orange bitters. It's everything you need, down to the cherries. You even have the cherries to put in the drinks. And then larger bottles like this. This is baklava syrup. And look, there's tons of stuff. There's tons of stuff. I said this stuff already. You don't need to find hard-to-find ingredients. You don't need full-size bowls of stuff. You get to try new things. Complex drinks made easy. It's a great gift idea. That's true. If someone gave this to me, I would be very happy. I'm always happy when Shaker and Spoon send me this stuff. So go to shakerandspoon.com/brainblaze and you'll get $20 off, which is fantastic. Thank you so much, Shaker and Spoon. And now back to the video. Welcome back from that jarring commercial break. I hope you loved it. I have no idea who the sponsor was, but I'm sure they're fantastic. Make sure you purchase that stuff or use that service, or I don't know what the sponsor was. Let's move on. Florida couple trapped in an unlocked closet for 2 days. It's like Florida Man, you know exactly what you're going to get, don't you? And then it just delivers.
All of this just works. I'm not kidding. It just works.
Daytona police received a distressing call in late 2014 from a young couple who had somehow managed to get themselves locked in a janitor's closet for 2 whole days. The 2 Florida lovebirds, John Arwood and Amber Campbell, had allegedly been minding their own business when they were chased by criminals into Daytona State College's Marine and Environmental Science Center. Why are criminals chasing people into the Marine and Environmental Science Center? That seems like the least likely place for criminals to be.
Lies. Oh, lies!
If I was like, where am I not going to get robbed? The Science Center. It is Florida, though, after all. They managed to evade their attackers by seeking refuge in the janitor's closet, but this triumph quickly turned sour when they realized they were now locked in. When Daytona police tracked their location and came to the rescue, they found a disheveled John and Amber cowering in the closet, which was covered in their own excrement, along with a few scouring pads on the floor. Oh my god, wiping your ass with a scouring pad? I mean, to be honest, we just talked about people taking hypodermic needles out of their ass, so it seems less bad, but still. When Daytona police, I read that already. Their story didn't quite add up, though. For starters, they clearly had access to a mobile phone, so why did they leave it 2 whole days before calling for help? Those scouring pads might provide a clue, as they're often used as a makeshift component of a DIY crack pipe. Oh no! This is why it makes no sense, because you went into the closet to smoke crack.
Exactly.
Also, how the do you make a crack pipe out of a scouring pad? I've never smoked crack. Surprising, I know. And, but I've seen it smoked in TV. Oh no, they smoke meth in Breaking Bad, don't they? Obviously, that's what the whole show's about. But I'm imagining smoking crack's a bit similar, so why are you using a scouring pad? Although I once made a bong out of a plastic bottle and some scuba equipment. So, I guess needs must.
And modern problems require modern solutions.
In fact, John and Amber had quite a bit of a criminal history. John had served 5 jail sentences in Florida for offenses including armed burglary, marijuana possession, and running away from the police. I feel like one of those crimes is a lot more serious than the others, the armed burglary. Meanwhile, Amber had previously faced charges for stealing and crashing her brother's car, escaping from a mental health treatment facility, escaping from the back of a police vehicle after getting arrested. Holy that's kind of impressive. And then punching a deputy sheriff in the face.
You know who you messing with? Come on. Yo, holy shit, he dead! Oh, he dead for sure!
I feel like these are like angry dude crimes rather than like women crimes. I feel like women crimes, not to be sexist, but it's like usually poisoning a husband, not punching a cop in the face and escaping from the back of the car. Damn. Kind of impressed. It's not clear why they had broken into the Marine and Environmental Science Center. Maybe they were hoping to steal a dolphin or at least a sea turtle. It's more likely they just fancied finding a quiet spot in which to smoke a little bit of that crack-a-lack. And no, it doesn't say crack-a-lack here. I made that up on the fly. Impressive, aren't I? And after they realized that they had accidentally locked themselves in, they were very happy to take it in turns to the corner for 2 days until the crack finally ran out and they decided to dial 911 for help. It's like we're in the corner. Should we call the police, mate? It's like, no, we got some crack left. It'll be fine. It stinks of excrement, and we haven't been wiping our butts with scouring pads because we need them for the crack. Alack. They must have been proper wasted. It turns out neither of them had actually bothered to check if the closet door was locked in the first place. When the police arrived on the scene, they discovered that John and Amber could have walked out at any time. Both John and Amber were charged with trespassing, and Amber faced additional charges for violation of her probation. It's very likely that they both served further time in prison, but considering that they'd both just spent 2 whole days in confined in a tiny communal toilet, I thought they were in a closet. John and Amber probably considered jail to be a 5-star upgrade, and the rest of us can sleep easy in our beds at night, as I don't imagine that a cunning jailbreak attempt is ever going to be on the cards. No, definitely not. Maybe they're like, well, they'll just be trying the jail door just to see if it's open. It's like, yo, John, it's not like that time you're in that crack closet. Florida man threatens to destroy town with an army of turtles. Holy shit. I feel like doing this makes me feel very newsy. Hello, good evening. I have to admit that I feel this one could conceivably have happened in any UK town. Local nutter loses the plot and goes around making weird threats that don't really make any sense at all. In this case, we're talking about a clearly troubled 61-year-old man named Thomas Devaney Lane, who apparently likes to be known as the Saint. Yes, and I like to be known as Absolute God King. And yet no one calls me that. Let's start a movement.
You should be proud of that.
In 2019, Thomas, forget Blaze Boy, now God King.
Seriously, what the is wrong with you?
In 2019, Thomas, so let's be kind to him and call him the Saint, okay, was causing a problematic afternoon for residents and business owners of Indialantic. my God, what's with the weird town names in Florida? A small town about 75 miles southeast of Orlando. America, it's a lot easier when you're talking about somewhere in the northeast. And it's like, yeah, all the town names are just copies of town names in the UK. And it's like, know how to pronounce them all. And if the Americans chime in and they're like, that's not how you pronounce that town name in America. And I'm like, great. Don't care. In fact, the local police hotline had been buzzing all day with calls from citizens in 3 completely separate locations in Indialantic, all regarding a man who was allegedly disturbing the peace. Weirdly, one of the many calls was from a guy who was meant to be disturbing the peace. Okie dokie. But the manner in which the saint was disturbing the peace was stranger than most. He was mooching around the whole town and wandering through the doors of any business that he came across, including Starbucks and Sassy Granny Smoothies. That sounds like a place I definitely wouldn't go. Seemingly on a mission to deliver a stark warning. A turtle army was on its way to destroy the whole of Indialantic. Is this the same dude as the last video, the crack smoking dude? Because this guy seems to be smoking the crack as well. It's not entirely clear if the saint was meant to be the evil mastermind behind the imminent turtle invasion, or whether he was trying to be helpful by urging his fellow citizens to make their escape while they still had a chance. But either way, he was becoming increasingly agitated at the response to his message. He began hurling obscenities and threats at anyone who dared to question his logic, and told everyone, "Just see what will happen in an hour." Ha 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 ha.
1 hour later.
What, mate? Your turtle army's gonna come. You've just been smoking the crack. And everyone is in Florida as well. They know you're insane. Officers from Indialantic Police Station eventually caught up with the saint, who by this time was sitting in his car at a 7-Eleven parking lot, probably feeling quite exhausted by a very busy afternoon. However, he refused to leave the vehicle and advised the officers, "You need to leave now, or you'll be sorry that you f***ed with the saint." That's not something you say to the police. That's not something you say, even if you don't want to be arrested. It's just going to make things worse. Don't f*** with me.
Nope, stop talking, go to jail.
It's like, now I feel like that's an arrestable offense right there. Like, insulting a cop. It's probably not arrestable, especially in the land of the free and the home of the brave. He phoned 911 to complain that his car was surrounded by idiot police officers. Who were ignoring his warnings about the oncoming turtle invasion. But this call just descended into him hurling out more obscenities at the 911 operator. Either this guy's insane, or he's smoked so much crack that he's gone insane. So either way, he's insane.
Exactly.
The saint was eventually forcibly removed from his vehicle and faced charges including disturbing the peace, resisting arrest, and misusing 911. He also appears to be facing a completely unrelated charge of marijuana and drug paraphernalia possession. Well, I say completely unrelated. That is not the marijuana. The marijuana. Could I sound more square? You've been smoking the marijuana cigarettes, have you? Cool, man. Get on that pot train, brah. Florida man gives cops dash cam video that shows he didn't cause car wreck, but did burglarize a store. Uh-oh. Finally, here's a classic example of someone breaking the cardinal rule of criminality. When providing evidence which clearly absolves you from any blame of an alleged crime, try to make sure that it doesn't prove that you're also guilty of a far more serious offense. It's like, no, that guy absolutely rear-ended me. Don't watch the end of the video when I get to the store and rob it and murder. All right? You don't need to watch the end. Okay?
Fast forward.
When police were called to a crash zone in Royal Palm Beach in 2018, they came across the wreckage of a single vehicle operated by Xavier Inocencio Moran, who was looking more than a little dazed and confused. Covered in cuts and scratches, Xavier claimed that some other wanker driver had cut him off, causing him to have a crash. The police were not entirely convinced, and they took Xavier down to Palm Beach County Jail for questioning. But quick-thinking Xavier suddenly realized that he could prove that the car crash wasn't remotely his fault. The dashcam footage would corroborate his story on how cut up he was by the other driver. He was released after agreeing to hand over the footage, which was later studied at length by the deputy sheriff, who concurred that the footage did indeed prove Xavier's innocence. Maybe the deputy sheriff was having a quiet day, and this was why he decided to study several hours of the footage instead of just the brief section that led to the crash. Or maybe he was hoping to catch sight of a comedy tornado in the distance. That's a callback, folks. But whatever the reason, the deputy sheriff was surprised to uncover something else entirely when he caught a glimpse of what Xavier had been up to just an hour before the crash. The dashcam footage clearly shows Xavier pulling up to a beauty store called Sally Sally's Beauty Supply, which curiously enough had reported a break-in on that very same day. And sure enough, we see Xavier pulling out a baseball bat from the trunk of his car and smashing the glass entrance of the beauty store to bits. Why not just use the door? He apparently then tried to gain access to the store's safe, but didn't get very far with a baseball bat. Yeah, I've got a safe in this office. I didn't put it in. It's like the company that was here before I guessed in and kept money in it. I don't think there's anything in there, but there's no way you're getting into that safe with a baseball bat. The door is like this thick. It didn't help matters that Xavier had been keeping himself busy during the couple of days since he was released after the car wreck. He got into a pretty heated argument with his dad and brother, during which Xavier had whipped out an assault rifle and threatened to kill them both. Xavier, what are you up to? That is not normal behavior.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. Have you ever seen me without this stupid hat on? That's weird.
After the police were called, Xavier was arrested and handcuffed, but still managed to escape by jumping over a fence before he was later found lurking in the neighbor's bushes. I know this guy doesn't sound particularly bright, but jumping over a fence while handcuffed is still a pretty impressive demonstration of a Florida man's superpower. It depends how big the fence is though, doesn't it, Danny? Like, if it's like one of those white picket fences that I assume all Americans have, it's just like, woo, and you do it really easily. If it's a proper fence though, I mean, I don't think you could jump over a proper fence, could you? Xavier pled guilty to charges of criminal mischief for the beauty salon caper, along with charges of resisting an officer without violence and improper exhibition of a deadly weapon. Improper exhibition. You whipped out an assault rifle. He was sentenced to 24 months of probation, ordered to undertake a 12-week anger management course, and paid restitution of $907 to Sally's Beauty Salon. It sounds as if he may have fared slightly better after the car crash if he'd kept tight-lip about the dash cam and just pretended he had to swerve to avoid an oncoming army of turtles. Yes! Thank you so much, Danny. This has been an experimental episode of World News Wednesday. Sans lengthy introduction with weird commercial break and with a tie. Hell yes! If you like it, smash the like button. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And I will see you next time. Good night. Like a newscaster. Hey, you want to see how professional this is? Down below, I'm just wearing tracksuit bottoms, and this dress shirt is not tucked in at all. And this tie is an inappropriate length. Look at this rabbit from my hat. And by rabbit, I mean syringes. And by hat, I mean f***ing arse.